Florian Wirtz, his teammate, he's being linked with the move to Real Madrid and Man City. Now, I think Florian Wirtz is a very good player. He's a wonder kid. I've been hearing about him for a very long time, and he looks like he's living up to the hype. What he's doing this season with Bayer Leverkusen and Xabi Alonso, they're on the verge of winning. No, actually, not even on the verge. They have won their first title in that club's history. They are Bundesliga champions, and they might do it unbeaten as well. That is a historic achievement. And even though he's linked to Madrid and Man City, if I'm Wirtz, I'm not leaving. I'm not. Maybe when Xabi Alonso leaves, then yes. But Xabi Alonso has confirmed he's staying for at least one more year. If you're Florian Wirtz, why would you leave? You're only 20 years old. You're cooking right now. And the manager that has brought you guys to the pinnacle is going to also be staying for one more season, at least. Because I think that Xabi Alonso wants to go to Real Madrid. That's why he rejected Liverpool and Bayern Munich to stay for one more season, because he wants to coach Madrid after Ancelotti leaves next season. But if you're Florian Wirtz, what's the rush? You have all the time in the world. Keep developing. Bayer Leverkusen have all the incentives in the world for you to become the best player that you can, because then they know that they can make a lot of money from you. Transfer market is saying that his value is 110 million. Now, I don't know if he has a release clause, but how much do you really think it's going to cost to buy this guy? Maybe 130, 140 M's? They're going to get a lot of money for him. And I don't know what his contract situation is, but I believe he has a few years left. Like, there's really no rush for him to leave. Now, when it comes to Madrid and Man City, just like I said about Jeremy Frimpong, his teammate, I think that Man City would be the better fit for him, because Kevin De Bruyne is getting up there in age. His legs aren't what they used to be. I think KDB is very overrated, by the way. I think he's just a stat pattern, and I think his overall game is lacking. He doesn't press. And yes, he does create chances, and he could put a nice ball through for his teammates for good goal-scoring opportunities. But in terms of as an overall player, I don't really think that he's the guy anymore. Same thing with Erling Haaland. But I think Florian Wirtz could go into Man City and be a replacement for KDB. Because on top of me not really rating him, I think that De Bruyne may leave this summer. I saw the links to Saudi Arabia. They may spend $100 million to buy this guy. If you're Man City, do you reject 100 M's for Kevin De Bruyne? I mean, maybe you do if you don't have a replacement, but I see that they're being linked to Lucas Paqueta. Maybe they're viewing him as the KDB replacement. So I think Wirtz would be a good signing for them. He definitely would be a bit better in terms of for their creativity. Wirtz is a guy, he's very technical. He can hold the ball. He plays with it close to his feet, can link play, can hold up play, can, pick up cross. He can do everything. He can shoot. He's a very good player. And I think, if I'm being honest, off the potential alone, I think he can develop into one of the world's best players underneath Pep, as long as Pep doesn't take that creativity out of him. Because you see, Pep likes to overcoach sometimes. That's why you see a guy like Jack Grealish struggling at Man City, because at Aston Villa, he had freedom to do what he wanted. At City, Pep got this guy playing wing back. He has him just doing given goals. He's not letting Grealish carry the ball. None of the things that made him great. None of the things that justified you spending $100 million on him. So I think you put Wirtz in that City midfield, I think Erling Haaland would benefit, Phil Foden. Well, who knows if Bernardo Silva's there next season, but all these guys would definitely benefit from playing with a guy like Florian Wirtz. Now, as far as Real Madrid are concerned, the reason why I don't really like that move for him is that I think it'd be a good signing, right? But right now in midfield, we're stacked. There's no room for Florian Wirtz, even though we don't really have a creative midfielder in terms of one that starts. Our midfield is usually Tchouaméni, Fede Valverde, Toni Kroos, or Jude Bellingham, right? Like a rotation of those three guys, or those four guys, sorry. And none of them are out and out number 10s. Like, I know that Jude Bellingham's been playing that number 10 / false 9 / striker role this season, but Jude is not a creative player. Like, he's an 8. But because of the system that we're playing, it's fooled a lot of people into thinking that he is a 10. He's not that. Don't forget, at Borussia Dortmund, he was a box-to-box. What makes Jude a great player is what he can do physically. He's big, he's strong, he's tall. He has his physical attributes is why we rate him. And I think that with him playing in La Liga in a much slower league, his pace and power, it separates him. But he's not a creative midfielder. He's not the guy that we should be relying on to create chances for other players. So yes, it would be nice to have a Florian Wirtz in there. where you have somebody that's going to be able to be pulling the strings, that's going to be able to create. But I just cannot see us spending a lot of money on another midfielder right now. That's the strength of our team. And I know that we have Arda Güler and Brahim Diaz that can also play in midfield as well. And they are more creative players than Tony. Well, I wouldn't say over Tony Cruz, right? Because Cruz is creative, but he's not a 10. He's not a guy that you're looking to only create. Tony Cruz can do so many different things on the pitch that you can't really just say, okay, well, one thing is what he's good at. I think he's great at everything, but he's getting up there in age. And as I said, we have Brahim Diaz, Arda Güler, and maybe Arda can develop into that guy that can start for us. But it's going to be really tough because, as I said, that midfield right now is stacked. So I can't see us spending any money in that department right now, even if Luka Modric ends up leaving at the end of the season. I think you still are going to have Brahim and Arda to just step up and take those minutes. So Real Madrid right now, we need a left back and a striker, not a midfielder. On top of that, I'm a little biased. I do prefer Jamal Musiala over Florian Wirtz, but I understand that Wirtz is also a very good player, but I think City would just make the most sense for him, and I think it'd be easier for him to get playing time there. But if you were him, which club would you pick? Man City or Real Madrid?